Yeah, it's another one of our exclusive interviews here on the Blue Room. I'm delighted to say, joining myself and Dave now is former Everton defender Brendan Galloway. Brendan, thanks very much for coming to speak to us.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, how are you enjoying Luton? How's the move gone so far?
It's gone well. I'm enjoying it. I'm adapting. Living back in my home city now, so it's made everything a lot easier. I'm enjoying it. The lads are easy to get along with. I think that we've got a great manager with us, so I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and we've been really welcomed here. It feels a hugely positive feel around the football club at the moment. The facilities are great. Everyone just seems dead happy around here.
Yeah. I think that everyone's easy to get along with. Everyone's very welcoming, as they were with me in the summer. So I think that it just makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah. Looking back at your time at Everton, then you moved to the club in 2014 from MK Dons. Do you have any memories about how that came about? When was the first time you heard about the interest from the Toffees?
First time I heard about it was towards the end of the season. Someone showed me something that was in the paper that Everton were ready to move for me. So I didn't think too much about it, but I was sort of like wishing that came true, because I was a big fan of the manager. I was a big fan of their style of play. I knew that was a great club, so I was just waiting patiently, and then finally I was allowed to go. I was allowed to travel up there to go meet the manager, and I was really excited. First time I'd been to Liverpool, I think, so I didn't know what to expect. So me and my parents stayed there, and then next day went to see Finch Farm. Was like, wow, this is unbelievable. Coming from a team like MK Dons, hadn't even seen anything close to it. Unbelievable. So you got to meet the big boss, Martinez at the time. Had a chat with him. Met some other people like David Unsworth. So yeah, it was really exciting for me. And then from then I had a decision to make, and of course as soon as I seen everything, as soon as I met the people, I knew that's where I wanted to be.
You sound like you were dead set on the move straight away. Was there any hesitation at all? Because obviously, you broke records at MK Dons in regards to being the youngest player in the football club. You made appearances. You were playing regularly for that side of the time. Was there any sort of part of you that thought maybe need to hang back? No,
not at all. I think that at the time when a club like Everton comes calling, I think at that time it was a perfect club. They had players coming through like Ross, Stonesy. They had a manager that really believed in youth, that was known for taking care of young players, nurturing them, giving them time to develop. So I just had my head already set on the move. There was not really any hesitation. The only hesitation I think was probably moving away from home, because I never moved away from home in life. That would have been the first time. But even as soon as I went up there, they made it easy for me to adapt to the new city.
When you met Roberto Martinez for the first time, what was your first impression from him? Because other players you've spoken to who've played under him said he's this really endearing character. He's somebody who makes you feel very welcome at the time. I presume that was a big factor in your decision.
Yeah, definitely. When I first met him, he made me feel very welcome, even though I was just seeing the training ground and having a chat with him. Made my parents feel very, very welcome. And he just, the way that he was talking to me, the way that he already had a plan for me. He had a personal, individual plan, even though I've not even made my decision yet, but he had already that all set up. He knew all the information about me. So I think that for a manager like that, I was only 18 at the time playing for MK Dons, so for him to take his time out to show that much interest in me, and also gather his information about me to present to me, I think that was a big factor. And I'd already had an impression that he was, or I'd already heard and felt that he had a good impression of nurturing young players and stuff like that. So that also, just made my decision easier.
You went into a group of players, you mentioned some of them there, like the likes of Ross Barkley and players like that. How easy was that for you to adapt? Because obviously they've come through the academy system there.
Yeah.
You've come from another club. What was that sort of transition like to get to know people who you previously wouldn't have trained at a complex like somewhere like Finch Farm and things like that? Was that quite difficult, or?
No, I think that it wasn't too difficult. I think that those players, they sort of make you feel welcome. They let you, they give you time to adapt. So when I first came in, they wasn't expecting me to not just give the ball away or stuff like that. They were expecting it. They were expecting me to be, I'd say, the difference when you're coming from lower league teams is you might be more physical than when you come from the academy, but you're a bit less technical, and so you've got to adapt into both. But I think that all the players made me feel welcome. Even the younger players as well. Had people like Titus Brown in and stuff like that. When did Mason join? Mason joined the season after, didn't he? Yeah. So and then when people like Mason joined, I was there to then be with him and welcome him, and because we had both come from low league teams, I knew what it was like for him signing for Everton from Barnsley, because I'd experienced it. So then I was the one to then be there for him and the one to make him feel welcome and just be around in that training. So I think that everyone's there for each other one way or another.
That's it. I think in your first season, when you came in, we heard a lot about the way you were playing as fans for the youth setup. You were very much tipped as a player of the future, and then the penultimate game of that season, the 2014-15 campaign at West Ham, your name's on the team sheet. What was that like? Because I think at the time I suppose it was very interesting, because I don't know if you remember yourself, there's a lot of talk about Luke Garbett and whether he's going to sign a contract, and there's a lot of discussion around him. And then a lot of people expected him to play on that day, and you were in the team against West Ham, and you very much took your chance in that game.
Yeah, I think that I remember that day. I think that I'd been in the squad once before that, but didn't make the bench. So obviously training that week, just training with the first team, and I was getting quite comfortable. I was getting, when you start to free yourself up, so you're just playing like yourself. So the more I started to train with them, I started to feel like that, as any young player would. And then we stayed in the hotel, and the way that Martinez worked is that in away games he didn't name the team until the meeting before we leave for the game. So it's about 2 hours before the game. So obviously the night before I'm just chilling. I'm thinking I might be on the bench. I'm thinking, will I even be on the bench, or will I be left out the squad again? And in the morning I'm just chilling. I'm like, okay, I might be on the bench this game. And then when he then we go to the meeting, and I'm just sitting there chilling, and then he puts up the team, but he puts it out like, so he's got like an iPad, and then the names will just come up like when he clicks it, the names will come up in the formation.
Bit like on Sky.
Yeah. I'm just chilling, and then I see Galloway 32, and I'm like, whoa. And then like I sort of like woke up, I was like, oh. And then after that, I just went on the bus. I was just relaxed, but then I called my parents, because they were, to get the train, it would probably take them about half an hour, 45 minutes, and then they got the train. And yeah, it was a really good, I thought I would have been more nervous, but I actually really enjoyed it. I felt like I was ready for it. I felt like it was the perfect time. I didn't feel out of my comfort zone. And I think that we win 2-1 in the last minute. I think
Brom scored.
So it was sort of like a perfect debut for me. So I was really made up, and from then, you're just hungry for more. You're just hungry for more once you get a taste of it. Yeah,
you were in the team for the final game of the campaign as well, against Tottenham. What were your thoughts going into that pre-season? And did you consider yourself to be a first team player? Were you working with the first team squad pretty much throughout the entirety of pre-season?
Yeah. So from when we came back, Anzi asked me if I wanted to go in a week earlier. He said, you're going to be with the first team from now on, but 23s are in Austria for a week. We're in the 23s are going to Austria a week earlier, so if you want to do the 5 days in Austria, you can. So I was like, you know what, it will give me a 5 days head start for pre-season, so I'll do it. So then I was clear, like, spend those 5 days and then go back with the first team, which was good for me because it gives me a head start, gets me working again 5 days earlier, which was good for me. And then that pre-season, I was just with the first team. We went to Singapore, which was good. There was a lot of Evertonians out there, which made me realise that there's Evertonians everywhere around the world. Yeah, exactly. So I think that made me realise like the fan base is massive. And then we also went to Scotland. So now it was a really good pre-season, and then and I did play quite a lot of games in pre-season, so I was feeling fit. And then Bazza got injured again, and then it was perfect for me to just slot in.
One of the key storylines that summed up the football club was the story on John Stones and how he wanted to leave the football club. What was it like just being around the training ground and something like that's going on? Is it something that the players talk about amongst themselves? Did you speak to John about it all, or was it very much just you keep it hush?
Nah, just keep it hush. Stonesy was a great lad. He was really humble. He had a great mentality. He was very ambitious. So I think that there was talk of him wanting to go, but I think that everyone just kept it professional because at the end of the day it was his decision to make. If the club did allow him to go talk to, who was it at the time? I think it was Chelsea. So there was a tiny bit of talk, but I think that everyone sort of let it be professional and let Stonesy make his own decision. I think that at the time Stonesy was going to be one of the best defenders in the world, and I think that he still can be. So there was always going to be interest and distractions from the football club, but I think that was handled very well.
How do you react to that as a young player? You see somebody who's a similar background to yourself, who's worked their way up, got to a Premier League club, albeit not at the very, very top end of the Premier League. Do you see that as something that, well, I need to put myself in this situation potentially at some point? I take it John Stones was somebody you could talk to about that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. He was very easy to go talk to, as I said. I think that he came from being at Barnsley to going to Everton, so I think that the same with me, sort of he appreciated Everton as a football club, he appreciated the facilities. I don't think that he took anything for granted, and he did work a lot. He worked a lot in the gym to better himself, and when you're around people like that, and Ross as well, that are only a few years older than you, but you can see how hard they're working. I think that it also drives you to also be in the gym with them, or just work as hard as them to get to where you want to be.
I'm sort of keen to get your thoughts on Roberto Martinez as your career at the club sort of continues, and the club sort of goes down on a downward trajectory towards the end, which we'll get onto in a minute or so. But when you've made that transition from an under 23 player to being involved with first team affairs, does the dynamic between you and him change? Is he the same as he was when you first came, or was there more demanded of you? Because we've spoken to a few former players who played under him. For instance, Leon Osman was talking about how he was very personable. He'd always have an individual conversation with each of the players, whereas somebody like David Moyes, who I worked with quite a bit, was a bit more standoffish and let the players get on with themselves. How did you find that?
I found that he was very personal with you, which I enjoy, because when he'd always say good morning, he would always ask how are you, how's your family, how's everything. And I think that that's a good conversation to have, so that it's not just about the football. So I think that when you can have a personal how's just life in general, I think that helps you to be yourself more relaxed. But I think that even if you're injured, he'd always come and ask how's the injury, make sure you get it right. So I think that I've experienced different types of managers, but that as a manager I really do like, and I'm sure that a lot of players like that because it gives you the respect, like to have a conversation one-on-one that's not about football, that's also about other things. As I got probably more into the team, probably more demanding. He was always, but one thing that he did always give you was time. I think that was really important for me, and as a coach, I think that he was definitely one of the best that I had. I know that things obviously towards the end sort of didn't go for him, but I think that his ideas were the right ones. I think the ideas were right. Sometimes things just don't fall your way.
Can you put your finger on why? What sort of went wrong at that time? Was the I mean, I get the impression that for some people might have been a little bit disillusioned by him if he's still having those conversations with people, telling individuals, like Leon said to us, that he'd have those individual conversations with people, but then that wouldn't necessarily reflect in them getting the right game time and things like that. And maybe a few players sort of felt as if, well, why is he telling me that when I'm not playing or I'm not in the squad and things like that?
Yeah, that's I think that's a reason. That could be a reason why. I've had it before. I've had it with numerous managers where sometimes they do tell you one thing and don't live up to it.
They'll tell you what you want to hear, basically.
Yeah. I've had that experience before with almost every manager. But I think that when those sort of stuff happens, some sort of respect gets broken or lost, especially with the bigger players, because we had some big players in that team, like big stature players like Ozzy, like people that will talk their mind, and you know, if they're not promises aren't kept, they'll have something to say about it. So I think that's where it got broken a bit in the end, is that players might have been getting promises, or players might have thought that they should be playing and they weren't, stuff like that. And then, you know, then you start to not, you sort of, how do I explain it? You just don't give 100% for the manager anymore. That's probably might have happened with a few players.
The gradual erosion of the trust.
Yeah. The trust just slowly sort of dies, and then when that sort of stuff happens, then as you saw, like everything just went downhill from then very quickly.
One of the things I think criticism in hindsight come from many Evertonians was that he was unwilling to change. I think you can label that at a few Everton managers, the ones that you've spoken to along your time at the club, where it feels very much as if, and listen, we're all fickle as football fans, you'll be fickle yourself when you watch a game of football, you think one player is bad one week and great the next, it's the way life is. But with him, it felt in particular that it was obvious that things needed to change. The style of the football that we witnessed in that first season, just before you arrived, was just
I was watching every single game.
It was just breathless, and we were like, "What have we got here? This is going to be incredible." Bringing the likes of yourself in, really promising young, hungry players. There seemed like a conveyor belt of talent coming through into that squad. But then all of a sudden, when the passing style just become, I remember Andy Gray saying it one time, your intent when you get into a football pitch should always be to try and create chances and score goals. Didn't feel like we were doing that. I felt like we were just passing for passing's sake, and it was Liverpool had a similar manager, Brendan Rodgers at the time, who was doing that sort of thing. As a player, that must be incredibly frustrating, because obviously you'll have an opinion yourself on what you think the answer will be.
One thing is that he had his mindset on how he wanted to play.
No compromises though.
No compromises. Sometimes it's a good thing, because you know you have your style and that's just your style, but sometimes I think that you do need change, and we probably did need a bit of change at the time, because it got to a stage where, as you said, we were passing for the sake of passing without any real intentions to score. Whereas before we were ruthless with it, we were attacking, we were passing to go and score, and I think that maybe, yeah, I think that maybe just overdid the passing, the style of play. But as you said, he wasn't willing. Very not not stubborn in a bad way, but just stubborn in general with his style of play. This is how I like to play. This is how I like to do things.
He just had that conviction in his own
That
beliefs.
conviction and in his own beliefs, and that's what he wanted to do. Could have maybe changed it a bit, yeah, but he wasn't willing to, because that was his style.
Did you feel that stunted your own growth at the club at the time, though? Did you feel as if what you were there for now, the way things were going for you personally as a player, getting game time in a side that was playing relatively well, did that start to fade a little bit? And did it come out in a personal relationship you had with Roberto Martinez as well? Or did you just get on with it?
Just go on with it. At the time I was just young, just going into training every day. I didn't really have an opinion at the time, because I felt like if I had an opinion, I felt like I needed to play 50 games before I have an opinion of any sort. I wasn't going to personally go against a manager that had been in football for so long, and I've just come in. Maybe a few of the older lads probably did. Maybe a few of the older lads probably had something to say. But as a youngster, I was just getting on with it every day, because that's all I could do really. I don't want to seem like one to talk too much at that age. So that's probably how I wanted to keep it.
Were you frustrated at that point in the campaign, in the second half of the season, when you really broke into the team? Because I remember a lot of the conversations we were having on the shows when you were playing, you know, was a lot about, Leighton Baines is not going to walk straight back into this side. And there were conversations we were having from January onwards, when Leighton comes back into the team, that, the centre halves aren't playing particularly well here. You're naturally a centre back, why aren't we giving Brendan over?
I was frustrated, very frustrated. I felt like I should have been playing more. Even there was a few games where I think that I wasn't playing, and then there was a game against, I can't remember who it was, but it was a game in the FA Cup against a lowly team. So I thought, okay, I haven't been playing for the last few games, he's going to put me in, and then he didn't. So stuff like that was just frustrating. And then towards the end of the campaign, I was just on the bench all the time. And when you've got a taste of it, of playing at Goodison, playing away when the Everton fans are much louder than the home fans, you just want more of it. You just want to be on the pitch. So that was really frustrating.
And I suppose what must have added to that frustration is that when you were in the side, you were playing really, really well in the first part of that campaign. I mean, on the way down, you talk about some of the moments you were involved in. The 3-1 against Chelsea, where you set one of Stephen Naismith's goals up with a cross. I remember at West Brom away, where you make an unbelievable clearance on the goal line at 2-1, and we go on to win 3-2. You were playing at that point out of position, and you were doing really well. So it was almost like, this lad's shown what he can do at Premier League level. Where's he going? Yeah,
exactly. I didn't feel like it was fair at all. I was really frustrated, angry at the time. But at the time, I didn't want to show it, because I didn't want to seem disrespectful to anyone, especially disrespectful to Bazza, because he's a great character. He's one of the Everton greats, and I didn't want to go in and say I should be playing ahead of him still. That was my character, so I just wanted to work hard and get back into the team. I didn't. Bazza stayed in it, but at the time, because I was only 19, I was still young, so I didn't really want to have a big mouth on me to come across as disrespectful.
Did you feel as if you could have that conversation? If you, in hindsight, do you feel as if maybe if you'd have had that conversation, or you would have spoken up a little bit more, things might have been a little bit different?
Maybe, yeah. What I've learned since then is that in any situation you need to speak up, and you need to speak your mind. as I've got older, that's what I've learned in football, is that if you don't speak your mind, then then you'll never know. So maybe, yeah, think I probably should have, but at the time it was very hard for me too, because even when Baz is great, and when he came back into the team, or when he got back fit, I just wanted to welcome him back, because when he was injured, he did help me a lot off the pitch, talking about my games, giving me personal advice. So he was really good, like a really good and important person for me.
What's he like as a fella in general, like in days? Because I feel as though sometimes, even though he's been at the football club for so long, these Evertonians don't really know what he's like as a personality. I mean, do you think he even likes football sometimes?
Nah, Baz is great. Baz is one of my favourite. He comes in. I don't think because to come to training, all I wear is tracksuits. Yeah. Because I just roll out of bed, put a tracksuit on. He comes jeans, shirts.
Guitar on.
Yeah. He'll come all smartly dressed. I'm like, how do you have the effort to do that? But like, he's very personal. Like he's not out there. But like I've had conversations, Baz, like, because some of the music that I've heard him listen to, it's not the type of music that I'd listen to. But then one time he came to me and he was like, "Yeah, Bren, have you heard Kendrick Lamar's new album?" I was like, "What do you know about Kendrick Lamar?"
He's into all the indie stuff, isn't
he? Yeah, he's into indie stuff. And then when he hit me with the Kendrick Lamar, I was like, "Whoa!" Like, I like that.
Yeah, an influence on him.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he had got it from my playlist in the change room. But he's good with everyone. He's good with the elders. He's good with the youngsters. You can never be shy to have a conversation with him. He's one of the most down-to-earth guys I've seen. He's done it at the highest level, but he comes in and he works hard. He does a lot of work in the gym. As he's got older, he's been in the gym a lot more. But he's great character, really, really big character.
Obviously, at the end of that season, Martinez leaves the football club. Yeah. So we'll talk about who's coming in to replace him. In regards to the loan move to West Brom, was that something you pushed for? Was it something the club wanted? And did you have any say in where you did end up going on loan?
So in pre-season, I was told that I wasn't going to play, but I needed to stay at the football club, but I wasn't going to play.
This bi-model Koeman?
Yeah. So I was like, well,
that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. I've just played 25 games this season before. I've had a good pre-season, and you're telling me that I'm not even going to play. I was going to be in and around it, but just as a squad player. So I'd got interest from, at first it was Newcastle, real big interest from Newcastle. They had just got relegated to the Championship.
Was Benitez still there, was he?
Yeah, Benitez was still there, yeah. And then I'd got late call from West Brom, and at the time, although Newcastle's a massive club, favourites to go up, you look at the Premier League's where you want to play. So you either go to Newcastle in the Championship, or you stay in the Premier League. The Premier League is where everyone watches. The Premier League is where everyone has their eyes on. So I said, okay, if Everton allow me, I'll go. West Brom is the club that I choose. And then I think that I remember I was told that I still wasn't being allowed to go. And then I got a call late on Sunday night saying, get yourself down to, who was it from? Was it from Steve Walsh at the time? I think that Steve Walsh might have been in.
Yeah, you might have that somewhere.
Yeah, I think that he might have been in, and then he said, Brendan, we've decided. To be fair, I didn't even decide actually, but I would have still decided West Brom. But they said that they've accepted a loan move for West Brom, and that I need to make my way down there to go have medical tomorrow morning. So it was Sunday night, and I just drove down there and met Tony Pulis, had the medical, and yeah, just signed that day.
It sounds like at this stage where you've come to a football club just to revisit what you've said about coming and having that really personal relationship with Martinez and in making it feel like a very warm environment. To, I think it's no secret about what Ronald Koeman is like in terms of being quite ruthless. Complete opposite in regards to personal relationships with people. Did that feel like there was a shift in terms of particularly younger players at the football club? Did it feel as if that, okay, well this is a guy who knows what he wants and I basically just need to do what I'm told type of thing? Almost like a head teacher type thing?
Like, he was in charge, no one had anything else to say, no one had anything to put, what he says goes. Even, I don't think that he had relationships with many other players. You know, some days, you know, you'd walk past him and, you know, just wouldn't even acknowledge you. Which I think, you're the manager, but it doesn't hurt to still be a good person.
Doesn't take much, does it?
No, it doesn't take much to say good morning, or if I hold the door for you, or thank you. As a person, it doesn't take much, although I know that you're the big boss. And I think that as a youngster, it was probably, at that stage, it was probably then harder. Because when Martinez was there, as well, maybe on like the Thursday, the 23s would go 11v11 against the first team. And we'd be working on the shape for the game, and they'd just be working on the opposition. They'd be shadowing the opposition, so who we're going to play. So you had a chance to impress. Although it was only for half an hour, you still had a chance to impress. And even like Anzi would be like, go in and smash them, you know, prove your worth, you know, that's who you want to be taken, so go prove it. And then when Koeman came, there was none of that. There was none of that. You couldn't, you know, he wouldn't even watch. He wouldn't even want people to be watching training if you're not involved, because he's doing tactics. And if you're like physios or whatever, you can be watching training, like when he's doing tactics, stuff like that. So it was very different. Very different.
That must have been really, because I imagine, you know, when Roberto left and, you know, you guys would have all heard things and seen things in the press about who's coming in, and I imagine as a defender you would have thought Ronald Koeman, you know, one of the most iconic defenders there's ever been, scored European Cup final winning goal. You must have been rubbing your hands together thinking, I can't wait for this.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd seen the pre-season, and I'd seen what he did with Southampton before. I had a few friends at Southampton, which were also young at the time that I was playing with at England 21s, and they were playing. So I thought, maybe he is one to still give a chance to the youth. I know they have a good style of play. And then I think that summer, obviously Steve Walsh came in.
A big investment at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think that, I don't know how many players we bought that season, but I think that was very detrimental to the football club. You know, you buy and spending hundreds of millions. I don't know, to stay the same. To stay the same.
That's I think in a nutshell you just described how we feel as fans. I don't think anybody's ever done that before. Spent like in excess of £400 million. Actually, maybe a little bit worse. And that's the sort of feeling we had in that season when we spoke about it. As fans, we were really optimistic because you see your club all of a sudden get huge investment. You've got a billionaire owner coming in, and you're thinking, wow, who are we going to buy next?
Yeah, exactly.
That's any football fan naturally feels that way, but it became quite apparent quickly that it almost felt like somebody who just won the lottery and thought, what can I buy next? There wasn't really any structure to that, and I think Steve Walsh has come out in a recent interview, hasn't he, in the last couple of days, talking about how there were certain players who he thought the club should buy, and he's basically passed the blame off to them. It felt like a bit of a calamitous situation. So here you've got like a manager in Ronald Koeman who's very standoffish, isolates himself as the big boss, like you said there, doesn't really talk to many people. You've got a guy who's a director of football who's never been one before. He was a scout at Leicester, comes in, and he's all of a sudden given an open checkbook. It felt like all of a sudden the tight-knit group that you were talking about when you first come in, felt like everything was a bit all over the place, and loads of different factions in the club. Was it like that in reality?
Yeah, it was very much so. It just went from a tight-knit group. You know, we had unbelievable characters the season before. You know, we had, although he was still there, we had Jag Stonesy, Ozzy, we had people like Gaz Barry, James McCarthy as like core group, and then even obviously Seamus Coleman, and then next season we have Ronald Koeman. He buys 10 players. Everyone's then dislodged, different friendship groups. You know, everyone's now just don't know their place. Whereas before, you know, everyone knew this is the core, and then we had also youngsters to back that up. But then now you've all of a sudden got a squad of 30 first team players. How are you gonna manage that?
So it sounds like what you're saying is when Martinez leaves, there were still elements of what he did that were still really good.
Yeah.
And that it perhaps didn't need the overhaul that everybody thought when they went Baku.
No, I don't think so. I think that the main thing that they needed to do that everyone knows about was Rom didn't even leave that season, but we probably needed another striker. But the main thing also that we've never done is replace Rom. All those goals that he scored for us. So I think that the squad, it didn't need a whole change. It obviously needed a few changes. Koeman would have come in, wanted to bring a few of his the players that he likes, but it didn't need 10 to 13 signings. It didn't need all those players, or the players from the season before, a lot of them to go out on loan. I think the bigger the squad, you know, it just brings you more problems, because there was a lot of big players in there, so when they're not playing, it must be tough.
You mentioned Lukaku.
Yeah.
What was he like? Because he's a character now. I think many Evertonians have gone off completely given how he handled his departure from the club. It always felt like we were on the edge of losing him all the time.
Yeah.
What was he like with yourself?
Oh, great. Rom's a real good friend of mine, even still to this day. I bumped into him in London in the summer actually. Had a good chat with him just before he made his move. I think that he's a great person to be around. Very focused, one of the most focused people that I've seen. Never touched alcohol in his life, never done anything to put his body in harm. You know, he looks after his body very well. He's got personal people to look after to make sure that his body's always in shape. And you know, he's very focused, he's very demanding in training. Like when we used to train, and you know, if you
go up against him,
if you go up against him in a 1v1, he's pulling you. You're having to kick him or do something to put him down. But he's very focused and very demanding of his teammates. You know, if you don't give him the ball, he will tell you about it. You don't care who it is. He'll let you know what he thinks. And at half times, you know, if you're not feeding him, you know, he'll come in and he'll go crazy.
Yeah. Because when he first came, and it become quite quickly, to me anyway, I think when he first signed, it was always Everton with a stepping stone. Yeah. Rightly or wrongly, obviously wrongly in the views of many fans, but having a little bit of perspective on the issue, you sort of feel as if this guy's destined for the top level. Yeah. As long as we can keep him, it's sort of a bonus, if you like. And we had him 4 years in the end. I don't quite know how it lasted that long, because he was prolific from day one, wasn't he? Yeah. He's got like a 1-2 record. He's a record Premier League goal scorer. Yeah. I never felt, and you'll know this from fans who've spoken to you in the past, Evertonians love a personal relationship with their players. Yeah. I don't think you're ever going to get that with Rom. No. Particularly given the fact that he wanted to go on, like you said, very driven and focused to go and achieve the very best. I suppose what I'll ask you about him really is, did they ever feel patronising? Is probably the wrong word to use here, but when he's around a squad that isn't that level, did it feel as if he ever saw anybody sort of beneath him or anything like that, or was he a consummate professional in that regard?
No, he was very professional. He never made you feel. He never made you feel like you were beneath him. Even when I was a youngster coming through, he always put his arm around me. He was very good with everyone. He never same as Stonesy when Stonesy obviously knew that Stonesy was destined for the top, and he knew that he was going to leave at some point. But him as well, he was never looking down on us. He was never like, oh no, I need to be at Chelsea or Man City. And Ron was never like that. But he did keep his business to himself. So he might have known that stuff was going on in the background, but he never spoke about it.
Only to the Belgian press. All of his friends over there. He always used to say, we always used to joke, what's he going to say this time? Anytime.
Oh yeah, when he went away with international. Yeah, true. But he never, you know, if you ask him anything, you know, he'd just laugh it off.
Yeah.
He'd never be too serious with it. But in that, to be fair, I used to hear whenever we went away with the Belgian squad, they'd say something new.
It must be something they're journalists or something.
Yeah, but both of them obviously went on to bigger clubs. But when they were with us and they knew of the interest, they were both still very professional. You know, you'd see Rom still outside for half an hour extra doing shooting, just stuff like that. His focus was always the same, and that was just to score goals.
Just finally on Lukaku, Dave mentioned there about sort of, you know, I think because we always half expect him to leave, the fans never really bought into him completely.
Yeah.
You know, there was always talk about his goal scoring, but there's always a caveat of, but, you know, he doesn't work hard, but his first touches in particular, which is ridiculous now when you think back to what a player he was. Did he ever mention that? Did that really bother him, or was he just so focused?
He was so focused. You know that he'd always get stick for those sort of stuff, although he always scored goals. But you know, the tight, his mentality, and you know, he's very thick-skinned, so he didn't let anything get to him. But I think that he just didn't let anything get to him because he's that thick-skinned. Like, he doesn't care what anyone else thinks, as long as he's focused and doing his thing. Yeah, which obviously helped because he did get quite a bit of criticism, although he scored all those goals, and he dealt with it very well.
It's funny talking about Koeman and how he didn't really develop a relationship with people, because to me it always seemed like he had quite a close relationship with Lukaku. You'd see him score goals, he'd run over to the manager and give him hugs and things like that. Did it feel that way?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think that probably Koeman was doing that as well to keep him. He knew that he would go, so as a manager at the time, you know, you'd want to show a little bit more extra love to Rom, and I think everyone could see it as well, showing extra love, extra care, because you want him to sign that new contract. So I think that's what was happening.
Going back to you know, your time at Everton, you obviously had the loan spell at West Brom. Don't play necessarily many games there. You have the spell at Sunderland as well. And I think both of those loan moves, I remember thinking back to those times as a fan, and you know, I'm sure you would say, but I thought Tony Pulis recoiled a little bit. I thought Sunderland and recoiled a little bit, given what was going on there. And you know, going from what you said there, you said you had the conversation with Steve Walsh before you went to West Brom about how it was, you know, they said you go into West Brom not really knowing that you already knew about it. It feels like that whole process could have been a lot more streamlined and a lot more dialogue could have gone into where you go and you go play alone.
Definitely, I think that could have 100%, and I think that I could have known more about the situation, not just get told that I'm going somewhere. I could have had my choice as well. Even when I was on loan, didn't talk to anyone from Everton.
Both spells,
Both spells, didn't talk to anyone at Everton, which was pretty disappointing. And then when I was at Sunderland, we were struggling in the league. The manager wanted experienced players that had been through relegation battles. I hadn't been through a relegation battle, so I said, okay, if you want more experienced players, then I'll go back. I can go back to Everton. And I was ready to go on loan again. Everton said no. I can't, because there was financial implications. So I got told, no, you're staying there, unless if the financial implications change, that was probably the most disappointing thing I think I've ever experienced. Is that my own football club, the people that are supposed to have my back, then they, when I needed them, then they weren't there.
Yeah, and
that was probably, I think, the thing that is probably touches the nerve. Yeah, because I was their player at the time. I was still 21. I was their player. You're sent on loan to develop, and then because I was having, and just wasn't enjoying it up at Sunderland. I was so far away from my family, wasn't enjoying it. So then the people that I think that would have my back, I say I want to come back to my home, back to Everton. I can go out on loan again, or I'll just train really hard, try and work my way into the team. But I want to do something I don't want to be at Sunderland. I do not want to be there. And then Sunderland were like, okay, that's fine. And then it was my own football club that said no because of financial obligations. I just had to stay there till the end of the season, just got on with it.
We've had conversations about this in the past, and it sort of confirms a lot to me what you're saying there.
Yeah.
How the club's changed over the years from how it used to bring young players in.
Yeah.
Have that due care and consideration. Like you mentioned some words you used to describe a club sounds like a very homely and things like that when you first came.
Yeah.
You've seen that go from one end of the scale to the other, and that must be the most upsetting probably at the time, because you're still only a kid, aren't you? You know?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen the club go from such a family-based, caring, loving, nurturing to a business. Before it wasn't a business, it was a family club, and in recent years they focus more on the business side than the people side, which is hard to adjust to. But you know, when they were the family club, you know, we used to do work in the community, visit the hospitals, have tight relationship with the fans. Everyone was as one. But now I feel like it's just a business, and they've obviously got a lot of money now, so maybe it has to be that way, just a business. So I think that I've seen that change, which is it was upsetting, because when they were like the family club, it's the best club to be at. You know, you interact with the fans, you have close relationships with everyone at the club. You do a lot of work in the community, but then when it's just a business, everyone's just for themselves. I'm just going to look after me. I'm not going to worry about anything else. I'm just going to take care of me, which is, I think, what it's turned to.
I think the club have actually got a lot of praise for the way in which they developed young players in recent years, with you know, Everton's winning the Premier League 2 title 2 times in the last 3 seasons. It's something we spoke about a lot in regards to whether this actually benefits the development of young players. And you know, speaking from experience in regards to yourself and you know, being part of those teams at different times, while it looks good that you know, the players have won a trophy, they finished top of the Premier League 2, you know, we're only just seeing Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Tom Davis establishing themselves in the side now. Do you think that level of football really benefits players at that age, or are they better off going out on loan? Obviously, the right type of loan.
I think that they're better off going out on loan, but the way that David Andros works is good for you to have. It's good for you to have that experience. The way that he works, his demands is important, very important for you to have. But then also going out on loan. But I think that Anzi he prepares you for that. So if you spend some time with him and get the good loan, I think that then that's perfect for you, because he's very, very demanding. You know, in training, he'd want you to win. In games, if you don't win, then there's the problem. And he says that he says development is winning. He says when you go out on loan, people are trying to pay their mortgages with the winning bonuses. So you need to develop the winning mentality, and he definitely does that with us. Or he definitely did that with us.
Are you surprised he hasn't dipped his toe into? I know he had the stint as manager of the club, and that was a really difficult time. It's ultimately culminated in Sam Allardyce coming to the club. Are you surprised he hasn't dipped his toe into the lower leagues?
I'm surprised.
Because it's always a conversation crops up, because he won that Premier League 2 times twice.
Yeah.
You know, how do you feel about it?
I'm surprised. I think that he's got the he's got the tools for it. Definitely, he's a big character. He's very demanding. He doesn't take nonsense from anyone. You know, you could be a first team player coming to play with the 23s. If you're not playing well, if you toss it off, he will let you know. So he's very respected because of the respect that he gives everyone. So I'm surprised because I think that he can definitely handle first team management. He's got a good way of working as well. There was one time where I thought that he was going to take, was it the Oxford job?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I saw on Sky Sports, and I wasn't surprised. I was thinking that might be a good move for him, and then that didn't go to plan. But I'm surprised that he hasn't sort of wanted to try to get into management, because I think that he'd be really good. He was good with players and developing players.
Just to sort of finish off, about yourself, back to you. What is the plan, the long-term goal? Because, you know, a key part of what we wanted to talk to you about initially today, and we've gone off on all sorts, it was about how young players are basically treated at Everton, but also wider. And you know, I think it's really interesting what you're saying about the loan moves you had and how they didn't work. Quite clearly, I think football clubs should have a responsibility of ensuring you get the right loan. If not to develop you, then, you know, like you said, even if you've got the business head on, the successful loan will only benefit them in being able to get more money in terms of transfer fees. What about yourself right now then? How do you feel in terms of where you're at in your career, and have those experiences at both West Brom and Sunderland ultimately made you a better player? And are you thankful for them, or do you wish it worked out a little bit differently?
I wish that they worked out differently. I wish that I made different decisions. But I think that every experience you take, it's made me into more of a man. Every experience has just given me something different positively to take, and that's what I try to do, is take the positives. Now I'm at Luton, and I felt like that was the right move for me. They were really on the up. You know, getting promoted twice on the bounce. Now I'm living back in my home city, which is, after living away for so long, coming back to my home city has made life a lot easier for me. So I'm happy. I just want to play as much as possible. I've had a few injuries already this season, just with my knee, but I've just been working hard to try and get it right, because I just want to be out there playing. And I think that all those experiences have definitely made me a better person. I think that with every experience, if it doesn't develop you as a footballer, it needs to develop you as a person. So I feel like it's made me more of a man. You know, because when you don't get your way, when you get your way, you know, everything's good, life's good. But it's about when you don't get your way, like, how do you act? How do you overcome it? So I think that I've gone through a lot of that, and it's made me a better person and a better man.
And finally, from yourself, we were speaking before in the course today, you said you've been speaking to Mason Holgate about his running the team recently. You know, I'll be honest, there'll be times over the last couple of years where I thought it's not necessarily going to happen for him at Everton, but he's come to the side and done really well. He must be made up about
Yeah, definitely. He's a good friend of mine. When we were at Everton, we'd always stay at each other's apartments. We'd always go for food every single day together. Just like literally, we used to spend every day together. So for him to be now playing a lot and getting into the team, I think it's well deserved, and credit to him. I think that he's done a lot to stay in it, and hopefully Everton go on a run of winning games and getting back to where they are, because I'm still a massive fan. That's the first thing that I look out for. It's the first team that I want to do well. So I always look out for them, and I'm a massive fan still.
Brilliant stuff. Brendan, really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.